Hi, I'm Fred Glick. I am a real estate broker, a mortgage broker, the co-inventor of rentscoper.com. I am on the board of directors of the National Association of Independent Housing Professionals and the Upfront Mortgage Brokers. You may have seen me when I appear on CNBC as a pundit or read some of my quotes in national publications. Why am I making this video now? It seems that there's a real estate broker in California who is emphasizing that he is removing advertising for his sellers on 3 separate sites: Trulia.com, Zillow.com, and Realtor.com. I believe he's doing a disservice to his sellers, potential buyers, and the real estate community as a whole. I just want to state clearly that I have no financial interest in Trulia, Zillow, or Realtor.com, except that I am a subscriber to all 3. I think it benefits both my sellers and prospective buyers. Now, what I'm going to do is go through his video, show it to you in parts verbatim, and comment on it. I think you'll see a different story.
All listing syndicators have one thing in common. They act as middlemen and post our valuable listing data alongside the contact information of other agents and brokers who rent ad space on their sites. Usually they do this with our permission while claiming that exposure of our listings in any way on the internet is a good thing. Time and results prove absolutely that it is not.
Mr. Abbott talks about these websites being middlemen. What are real estate agents? We're middlemen and middlewomen. We broker. That's what we do. So the fact is that we're using another vehicle, a website, to get out the information about a property is not a bad thing. Yes, they're acting as middlemen, but isn't his website in the same acting as a middleman per se? I don't understand that. But the big thing, and the big thing I will keep coming back to, is what's called dual agency. What he seems to be trying to do is asking you to please call him, please call his listing agent, because they're the only one that knows about the property. This is not true. You are not protected. I'll go into a little more detail shortly.
Here's why. These sites are really nothing more than slick advertising platforms. They often use fear and peer pressure to induce agents and brokers to sign costly long-term contracts for their lead generation services.
Fear and peer pressure? When the Trulia, Zillow, and Realtor.com salespeople called me, I wasn't shaking in my boots. I, as a smart real estate salesperson, understood that what they are trying to do is trying to reach people, and it was going to help my sellers and also give me potential buyers that I could help buy property. Now, we're back to the dual agency situation. Someone who lists a property and it aggregates out to these sites and others. The idea is not to call the listing agent, it's to call someone who will represent you and only you as a buyer broker. I'm not scared of that. Is he scared of losing the other half of the commission? Is that why? Mr. Abbott decides to say to you that the only person who's going to know about this property and the area is the listing agent. Well, thank you, Mr. Abbott, for absolutely demoralizing buyer brokers. Now, let me get into a little more detail about dual agency. You don't want to be represented by the same lawyer who is prosecuting you and defending you if, God forbid, something happens, correct? Well, you don't want the same real estate agent representing the seller and the buyer, do you? Human nature is just going to tell you, maybe you kind of lean one way or the other. It just is wrong. There are 5 states that have banned this practice, and I hope the other 45 do the same. Now, most real estate agents are going to hate me for saying this. Why? They make more money by doing both sides of a transaction. Take the gist of what Mr. Abbott is saying. please call the listing agent. He or she, let me say, is the only person that knows about the property. It's not the case. A good buyer broker who you can find maybe through Zillow or Trulia, where they have agent rankings and where they tell you exactly what these people cover, who these people have dealt with in the past and have written reviews about. Maybe use one of them to be your representative as a buyer broker. And as a seller, you absolutely want your listing aggregated on this sites. Do you know how much it costs for an agent to put listings on Trulia, Zillow, and realtor.com? Nothing. Zero. The multiple listing service sends out through the IDX, which goes to different sites that then promulgates Trulia, Zillow, realtor.com. Why would you not want it on there? I don't understand. It's more advertising, it's reaching more people, and it just makes sense.
Furthermore, the listing syndicators promote the outright theft of our intellectual property and personal client data. Once in their possession, they do little to safeguard it. Property photos, occupancy statuses, addresses, and ID information often end up on sites such as Craigslist, where news reports frequently detail real estate ripoff scams and, worse yet, burglaries and home invasions.
Hey, attention all burglars. Please go to realtor.com, trulia.com, and zillow.com so you can see what can get posted to Craigslist so you can rob people's houses. It doesn't work that way. Those three sites do not post directly to Craigslist and then inspire people to rob houses. Craigslist has individual postings by individual people. So, a real estate agent can post a bad listing. Some creep who knows a house is for sale can post something. Craigslist tries to go and fix it. They don't do a perfect job, but the three aggregators have nothing to do with Craigslist. Theft of intellectual property. Well, let's see. I tell you about the multiple listing service, which Mr. Abbott says he's still going to continue to subscribe to, who then has an IDX, then still promulgates it on different websites, even his own. So he's stealing his own IP. Listen, I may be the Picasso or the Aaron Sorkin of real estate sales, but what I'm trying to do is get that information out so that I could sell the property. I'm there to help the seller or help a buyer negotiate the best deal they possibly can get. That's the concept, guys.
As if the theft of our intellectual property weren't enough, consumers are the ones who really get a raw deal at the hands of syndicator sites. Pretend for a moment that you're a potential buyer for a property found on Zillow or Trulia. You call the agent whose name is posted right next to the home of your interest, assuming that you're calling the listing office. In reality, you may be routed to a call center where an operator promises to put you in contact with a qualified professional who knows the area. The call center operator then starts dialing for an agent on their subscriber list who will actually answer the phone and agree to work with you. The agent picked by a listing syndicator may or may not be an expert in your preferred area. Indeed, their only qualification may be in the form of membership fees paid to the syndicator.
Consumers get a raw deal. So let's go back to dual agency. You call and talk to the listing agent shows you the property. Now, they want to procure you as a buyer, so they're representing you and representing them. That's where you get the raw deal. Find yourself a good buyer broker. Talk to people, talk to friends, family, co-workers. Search out the recommendations that are on Trulia and Zillow. Call the people, interview a few of them. That's the way you buy a house. You don't directly call a listing agent. In closing, consumers don't really trust real estate agents. And to take information that they want to get and need to get and hide it behind a curtain just like Oz did is not the right thing. Buyers want information. They're going to find it. So why not let them do it on the sites that already have the information? Trulia, Zillow, realtor.com are probably the top 3 that show up when you Google real estate in your city. So let's give the consumers what they want: transparency. Okay? Because that will bring them back to trusting real estate agents. I'm Fred Glick, and thanks for watching.